Hey guys, today I'm going to do a book review for Eleanor Park. In case you don't know what the book is about, briefly, it's about a boy named Park and a girl named Eleanor. They're teenagers growing up in the 80s, and they meet and fall in love over the course of one school year. That's as brief as I can make it. I absolutely loved the story. I really, really did, and I feel like that can be my entire review. I loved it, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. Go read it. That could pretty much be, that's it. That's all the review that you need. That's all I want to say. But I'm going to say a little bit more about the book and the characters without giving away spoilers, because I don't want to ruin the ending or any plot points for you, even though the ending is the beginning. So I don't really know if you can ruin the ending if that's the first page of the book. But I still don't want to ruin anything for you. Basically, what I loved about the book most of all is that it's character driven, and it's just, you just really get to know the characters, and I absolutely love them. First, you have Eleanor, whose family is extremely unstable. She doesn't fit in with the kids at her school or even with the people in the town that she lives in. She has a stepfather that's abusive and a mom that can't or won't protect her, and her biological father isn't really there for her. So she just comes from a home situation where she's just really, really unhappy and insecure about how much money they don't have and the clothes that she wears and her family in general. Then you have Park, whose parents are, still married to each other, very, very much in love. And he is accepted by the community that he lives in, although his mom is actually Korean, so he's half Korean. His mom isn't from the town that he lives in. His father is born and raised there. His grandparents live next door, so he's automatically accepted by these people in the town. So when Eleanor and Park first meet, they originally do not like each other. These two people are kind of thrown together, where they have different backgrounds, very different backgrounds and levels of acceptance in their community. One of the things that I really, really loved and enjoyed was Park's family. I enjoyed them because I just felt like they were so realistic. Not that Eleanor's family wasn't realistic, because it did seem extremely realistic what an abusive family would, what an abusive household would be like. But for me, Park's family just felt very realistic in the way that his parents aren't perfect, and I like that too. I like that his family, although they're the stable family in the book, they're not perfect. Both of his parents make mistakes. His dad really doesn't understand him, and he wants his son to grow up to be the kind of man that he wants him to be, not the kind of man that Park is going to be. And then Park's mom really tries to understand him, but sometimes she just doesn't understand him. And I like that, because sometimes you don't understand your family members. Sometimes they're different from you. You just don't get it, And I really enjoy that aspect of the story, because even though they don't understand him, they still love him very, very much, and they're still ultimately supportive of him. I also liked how visible both of the families were in the book. It's obvious that your family does affect your personality and how you perceive yourself and the way that others perceive and treat you. And sometimes in books that have to do with like kids and teenagers, the parents aren't very present in the story. But I do think that sometimes, it just makes sense to have the families be very visible. And I like that the families were visible in the story. You don't really get that very often. I like that you can see exactly what Eleanor's life is like, but you also see exactly what Park's life is like in his house. Another thing that I really liked about Eleanor's character is that she's fat. And that's it. It doesn't really affect the way that she, at least in the context of the story, you don't actually see as the reader it affecting the way that she chooses to eat or things like that. That's just the way that her body is. And yes, she is insecure about it, but then you also have Park, who doesn't have some sort of like fat fetish where he likes her because she's fat. No, and he also doesn't like her in spite of her fat, because I think that would also be extremely annoying. He just likes her, and he's in love with her, and he thinks that she's beautiful. In fact, he never at any point of the book mentions her weight, really. But you are given the impression that it isn't just a deep insecurity to her that she's fat. She actually is, and that's not really a big deal. It isn't necessarily bad. It doesn't make her bad. It doesn't mean that she needs to lose the weight. I thought that was really interesting, because you don't get that very often, where a character is fat just because she is. It's mostly a reason for it in books. It's like she's fat, but then at the end she has self-esteem and she loses the weight, because obviously if you're fat, that means you have low self-esteem and don't like yourself or whatever. And Eleanor does have a hard time liking herself, but that's not because she's fat. She's not fat because she doesn't like herself. She just is. And I really, really like that aspect of the story. In fact, I wish that would have been shown on the cover, because the Eleanor on the cover is the same width as Park, and you're led to believe that she's in fact bigger than Park. So if it would have been on the cover, that would have been really interesting and really nice. So I would have liked if that was there. I don't want to say too much more about the book, because I feel like I'm just on the verge of like giving stuff away, and I really, really don't want to. But I really like the book. I think that you'll enjoy it too if you like contemporary fiction. In fact, you might even like contemporary fiction, because that isn't necessarily that mushy romance. It isn't insta-love, it isn't love at first sight. But yeah, so I really, really enjoyed the book, and I definitely highly recommend it. I knew within like the first couple of pages, like I'm serious, 4 pages in, I knew that I was going to love the book. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you have any tips about video reviews, let me know, because I'm not really that great at it, I don't think. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm actually gonna, oh darn it. Hello? Not yet.